Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Tobago. I'm Davia Chambers, and today we are coming to you from Scarborough, where we'll explore a few well-known institutions in the island's history over the past century. We've also got the scoop on some of the top stories in Tobago this week, so we'll start with the headlines. Communities in Tobago are being empowered to make a contribution to crime prevention on the island. Chief Secretary Kelvin Charles speaks on autonomy for Tobago, and later we'll tell you how the Signal Hill Secondary School marked a special milestone. All this and more when Let's Talk Tobago continues. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are at St. Joseph's Roman Catholic Church, a historic institution. Now, it served the Scarborough community for the past 126 years. It was first opened on January 31st, 1892, when it was blessed and dedicated to St. Joseph. So how can communities play an active role in the fight against crime? Tobago is answering that question with the rollout of a unique program, as you'll see in our first story. Have a look.
Crime is everybody's business, and a plan has been drafted to assist in the prevention of crime in Trinidad and Tobago. So what's different about this crime prevention plan? Well, it's community-based. The National Crime Prevention Program was launched by the Ministry of National Security, which is now seeking to develop the project in Tobago. The plan engages the private sector, the public sector, civil groups, and divisions of the THE. Here's how it works.
So we foresee that the liaison officer who is assigned to each of the community crime prevention councils would be engaging the public stakeholders and private stakeholders, the leaders of the civic groups, the individuals and the community residents, and they would be also liaising with their individual groups that they work with or commune with, bringing issues up to the CCPCs. When the issues are arrived at the CCPC level, from there, if it cannot be addressed at the CCPC level, so in Trinidad, the CCPC level would be at the municipal level. So there are some things that can be addressed at the municipal level. However, if it cannot be addressed, it would then go to the Secretariat.
The program addresses crime through crime prevention initiatives and community empowerment. Due to Tobago's specific environment, it was suggested that committees be formed in Tobago East and Tobago West.
Although Tobago's population may be small, the dynamics of the community and the outlying areas may require that for, particularly on the ground level, where we are taking a research-based approach. I think it's necessary that we have a more intimate relationship between the liaison persons and the communities on the ground.
Chief Secretary Kelvin Charles says the National Crime Prevention Program fits perfectly with the development strategy of Tobago, as community development equals Tobago development.
We know that crime is multifaceted, that it is multidimensional, and therefore, arguably, if one is to seek to prevent crime, then the approach must also match that. That is, the approach should also be multidimensional and multidisciplinary. Well, create an avenue for the empowerment of communities. Well, that's par for course in terms of what I would have just said. Promote collaborative leadership in the execution of crime prevention, and this is at the community levels.
Modifications based on the consultation will be taken into consideration. The next step is for the team to host community consultations on the island. I'm Carol Ann Wallace for Let's Talk Tobago.
The St. Joseph RC Church is one of 5 Roman Catholic churches in the St. Joseph Parish. The others are located in Patience Hill, Mason Hall, Castara, and Mount St. George. Now, having a good foundation gives our young people a platform to shine. In Tobago, nurseries and other childcare facilities are being updated on the required standards of care for the island's youngest residents. We hear more in this story.
The Rosa Kennedy loves children. As an early childhood educator, she's been caring for tiny tots since 1989. Currently, Miss Kennedy runs Daisy's Kids Daycare, a nursery at Glen Road for little ones ages 3 months to 3 years. Miss Kennedy was excited to be a part of a meeting held by the Facilities Review Committee for Children's Homes and Nurseries. The attendees were updated on the draft legislation that deals with the requirements for managing children's homes and nurseries.
I think that a lot of daycares will have the opportunity to shape up, and we will do things to the best of our ability. And also that parents will have lots more confidence in us because they will know that we are doing what we are supposed to do.
At the meeting, representatives from nearly 20 daycare centers learned about the standards for maintaining a clean, spacious, and secure environment. The session also covered age-appropriate discipline and the necessary qualifications for employees.
Your staff also must be able to understand and to deal with these children. And of course, it must always, anything that we are doing must always be in the best interest of the children. The manager or licensee of the nursery must ensure that a child from the date of admission is provided with a nurturing atmosphere and a wide range of activities.
The Facilities Review Committee for Children's Homes and Nurseries was established just under a year ago by the Tobago House of Assembly. The 9-member committee is working with the Children's Authority to sensitize managers and staff of daycares about the draft legislation entitled Children's Community Residences, Foster Care and Nurseries Act. The committee's goal is to ensure nurseries and homes meet the standards set out by the legislation. It will also monitor the facilities to make sure the island's infants get the care they need.
We are not a policing agent. We're an agent of the division that really wants to help to make sure that our children are being cared for properly. And it is in the interest of all of Tobago, all of Trinidad and Tobago, to make sure that these standards are done, are operational. So we are here to help.
The Facilities Review Committee will monitor daycares, make recommendations, and report to the Division of Health, Wellness and Family Development. The committee will also work closely with the Children's Authority to ensure nurseries and homes are licensed and meet the required standards. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
Now, it's not uncommon to see long-standing buildings and relics in communities across Tobago, but St. Joseph RC was one of many such structures destroyed by Hurricane Flora in 1963, and as you can see, it was later rebuilt on the same property. The draft legislation bill for Tobago's autonomy is currently being reviewed. In an interview on I-95.5's Barbershop program, the Chief Secretary Kelvin Charles made it clear that the island is not pursuing independence from Trinidad.
The majority of Tobago, the people of Tobago at this time, based on a series of consultations that the THA through a committee that called the Forum of Political Parties would have had, made it abundantly clear that the issue of secession is not on the table. What we are proposing is that the central government would be responsible for a number of things, immigration, judiciary, national security, with the exception of internal policing for Tobago and so on, and that every other developmental activity should be the responsibility of the Tobago House of Assembly.
Mr. Charles further added that the sovereign democratic state of Trinidad and Tobago will still remain, while apportioning areas of responsibility. He noted that with this arrangement, closer attention must be paid to the reorganization of the economic exploitation of all the resources of Trinidad and Tobago.
What we are saying as well is that cabinet dominance over the people of Tobago and the Tobago House of Assembly should cease, and therefore the central government, in addition to those matters that would be reserved exclusively for central government, would be responsible for the governance of Trinidad, and the Tobago House of Assembly would be responsible for the governance of Tobago in respect of those matters under its remit. The resources of Trinidad are the resources of Trinidad and Tobago. The resources of Tobago are the resources of Trinidad and Tobago. And it's a question of how do we reorganize the economic exploitation of all the resources, and then how at the end of the day we determine on a revenue sharing basis what is applicable.
We have to take a break, but coming up next, Signal Hill once again has access to its own space for residents to connect, interact and host community programs. This and more when Let's Talk Tobago returns. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for staying with us. Tobago's capital is also home to Scarborough Roman Catholic Primary School, another enduring institution which was first opened in 1916. It stood on the same spot as the current Scarborough Roman Catholic Church before it was moved to this location in the 1950s. From Scarborough to the Signal Hill Community Centre, which was recently reopened, Signal Hill residents are being encouraged to make the best of the facility. Our crew was at the recommissioning ceremony to bring you the details. The community of Signal Hill already has a youth centre, a micro mall, a recreational ground. And now, residents have a refurbished community centre to add to that list.
This refurbished building was first constructed by the United States Marine Corps some 20 plus years during the tenure of Mr. Lennox Denoon's led Tobago House of Assembly. So it is fair to say that we do not have a spanking new building as other communities have. Be that as it may, we are thankful and appreciate what we have received. Now that the facility is once again ready for utilization, the entire community of Signal Hill must be beneficiaries of this reconstructed building.
So there's an urge for residents of the community to take ownership of the facility and develop it to its fullest capacity.
We now have a facility. It is up to us, me as a representative, the village council and the residents, to use this to its fullest capacity. We do have a tendency of having these facilities, and not only here, but throughout the island, and many of them are not used to the optimum usage, for want of a better word. I know from sports, we have numerous facilities that are underutilized. There was a cry for the facility was built and provided, and they're yet to be utilized to their fullest potential. This, I'm pretty confident that this facility will be used to its optimum, because we have a village council that has been, despite the challenges, they do exist and they are functioning.
The community centre should also become a place for learning.
It must become a center for empowerment, and it must also become a center for entrepreneurship. And the reason why I'm taking that approach is because we are at a place where we have to be ready to take advantage of opportunities that are likely to come our way.
And the Secretary of Community Development, Enterprise Development and Labour, Assemblyman Marcelin Melville Jack, is pleading with the residents to let their community become the beacon that it was meant to be.
Make this centre the hub of activity within your community. The doors should be open at all times, and you should embrace all groups within communities. I've heard too many horror stories of keys being kept in some house and you have to wait until the person come back from market to get the key. We're going to work on that. We're going to make this center so accessible that every group feels a part of this whole project.
This was the first community center to be recommissioned this year by the Division of Community Development, Enterprise Development and Labor. Although it served several generations of Tobago's children, Scarborough Roman Catholic Primary School has outgrown its current home. So a new school is being built at Smithfield in downtown Scarborough. That project is expected to be completed this year. Now, staying with the topic of education, the formative years of an individual are critical to their development. With this in mind, Tobago's early childhood educators are exploring ways to identify learning challenges facing their young charges. Here's more.
Early childhood teachers across Tobago are learning how to detect common learning disabilities such as dyslexia in students, as well as how they can intervene to ensure these students are treated. They attended a recent training workshop at Marden House in John Dial. The teachers were reminded of their key role in youth development.
And as infant teachers, as pre-K teachers, you are very important because you are building the foundation. They come to us blank, they come to you blank, and you are creating the foundation for the future. Because when these children come to you, the first year, the infant teachers, the pre-K teachers, you have a blank slate. You can create and build a kind of character for the future.
The teachers were sensitized about the inclusion and special education needs. They were also trained to detect prevalent disabilities and to identify their characteristics.
Learning disability is something that you cannot look at the person and know that they have it. In a rare instance, you may be able to, because those of us who are unable to cut the paper properly, those of us who are dyslexic, we look normal, right? We were normal. So learning disability, it covers about 80% of the students in our normal general education system. If you have a learning disability and your teacher doesn't have something like a picture, a chart or something to make you remember otherwise than just hearing, it's gone from your head.
Educators may use a process called response to intervention to help identify children with learning disabilities such as autism. However, specialized testing is required to make a clear diagnosis.
This is something that we may say, I don't really need to do that, and they could do it in the primary school. It's okay to have the child screen in the early childhood center. It's just that we may not have the facility to do it as yet, but you can ask mommy, go over to the health center and have a hearing check or an eye check.
12 early childhood centers from across Tobago participated in the workshop, which was hosted by the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy. I am Marlon Gotsleben for Let's Talk Tobago.
The St. Joseph's Parish is also well known for its social contributions. It includes the St. Joseph's Convent Retreat and Holistic Development Center, which opened in 2013. Before that, the building housed a secondary school known as St. Joseph's Convent. Now the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is continuing its series of community meetings aimed at getting feedback from the public and creating closer ties with the residents. Recently, they rolled into the community of Goodwood. We have the highlights in this story.
The Goodwood Goldsboro Agricultural District is one of the more organized farming districts on the island. But that status does not come easy, especially with the constant threat of predial larceny. It was one of the main areas of concern raised by longtime farmer and past president of the Tobago Agricultural Society, Mr. Orwin Dillon. Mr. Dillon made a recommendation to treat with the problem during a recent police town meeting held in Goodwood.
The Department of Agriculture has 3 different security operations on the cow farm road, 3 by the same division. And I'm suggesting if they can put the security at the entrance of cow farm and pig farm road, so they can search all the vehicles leaving and entering those areas, we'll be able to manage the predial larceny in cow farm and pig farm road. That's been going on for too long.
An increase in gun-related activities in the community is also troubling the residents who attended the meeting.
It is very disheartening to know that 20-something police officers living in Goodwood, and crime is on the increase in Goodwood. We didn't know about gunshots firing off in Goodwood. We're hearing that now.
We have been saying all along that we don't wait until we have incident of gunshots in our district, because we have been asking over a year now or two, we have been saying at town meeting, if we have information of people that have firearms in your district, come forward, inform the police. We will get rid of the guns in your community. We should not wait until someone is shot.
Child protection was another important issue for the community. One resident suggested that members of the Child Protection Unit visit the schools and interact with the students regularly, while another called for the police to patrol the school district to ensure students aren't loitering. Mr. Moore gave this assurance.
All of us have to play a role together to ensure that we really have these children in school when they are supposed to be in school. And after school, for us to try to ensure that they get home. I know sometimes transport might be an issue and they have to wait for transport. Sometimes they might just be lying on the road and transport passing, they wait for a special transport. But we can encourage them to really get to their home within a reasonable time.
The Tobago Division of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service has already held several community meetings in 2018. The aim is to improve the relations between the police and the residents of the island. The police also consider meaningful recommendations made by the public when updating their policies. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
It's time for a break, but when we return, Signal Hill Secondary celebrates a significant milestone. Stay with us, we'll be right back. This center sits on 4 acres of sloping land that overlooks the Atlantic Ocean. It offers a haven of peace and guidance to those who are seeking to reflect on their lives. The facility hosts retreats for groups or individuals, whether it's just a weekend, an 8-day stay, or even longer. Now, 41 years is a big achievement for any institute, and the Signal Hill Secondary School is using the occasion to highlight its accomplishments and inspire its students. More from Crystal George.
The beacon on the hill, that's how students of Signal Hill Secondary proudly refer to their school. Formerly Signal Hill Senior Comprehensive, the school is celebrating 41 years of service to Tobago. Over the last 4 decades, Signal Hill has excelled in academics, sport, and culture. It's a source of pride to the school even today.
41 years and still growing. There has been a lot that has been experienced and that would have been achieved here at Signal Hill over the 41 years. Over the 41 years, you would have produced students, past students of excellence in almost all fields, both here in Tobago, both in Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension, even globally. We can speak after 41 years of excellence coming in the form of Mr. Devon Stewart.
Many other outstanding Tobagonians have walked the halls of Signal Hill in the past.
And we talk about excellence again, excellence globally, coming in the form of Dwight York in the area of football, in the medical field. You have Dr. Denman Baker, who is also a past student of this institution. And in the field of politics, you have coming out of Signal Hill, you have Ashford Jack, and you have current Minister of Tourism, Ms. Shamfa Kajo.
The school's motto is "Readiness is the key." It's a source of inspiration for both past and present students to be diligent and work towards achieving their goals. Principal Alison Pott says, functions like the school's 41st anniversary celebrations help to showcase the many positive achievements of the school.
We cherish opportunities like this to celebrate all the fantastic achievements of the school. So there's a lot of bad information out there. So we take opportunity like this to show off and let people know what Signal Hill is really about, what we have done in the past and what we continue to do. Our achievements are many and we are proud of them.
It's a tremendous effort to really, help our students to appreciate where they sit, that, many have gone before them and many have, experienced some of what they experienced. And I think sometimes, we said that experience is wasted on the old. So this is one way I think they were able to see. It's not just what Ms. Bacchus or what the other teachers are telling them, but people who actually were in their place walking through the corridors were able to show them what they have to appreciate it here now.
As the vision of Signal Hill Secondary School states, that every student that walks the corridor will be empowered to do better and become better productive and responsible citizens. I'm Crystal George for Let's Talk Tobago.
There are also small rooms inside the facility for quiet reflection and a full hall for groups. It's got an on-site kitchen, suites, and single and double rooms. The center can even host one-day retreats for small to medium-sized groups. Now recently, the Globe commemorated World Thinking Day. If you're not sure what it's all about, we have the details in this next report.
We all have the power to bring positive change in the world. And that's the main idea behind World Thinking Day, observed every year on February 22nd across the globe. It's an occasion where the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts, or WAGs, and its young members celebrate how we are all part of a bigger movement. Tobago Girls Guides and Girl Scouts marked the occasion with a march through Scarborough to the Esplanade, chanting the WAG's theme song. Featured speaker Marissa Osman, Assistant Secretary in the Office of the Chief Secretary, addressed the girls about the importance of the day.
Today is Thinking Day. Today is your day. As you know, all over the world, worldwide, they are celebrating Thinking Day, Brownies and Girl Guides. And children, not only in Tobago, but in Trinidad, regionally, and even internationally, are doing something just as you today, in commemoration of Thinking Day.
This year, the theme of World Thinking Day was Impact. Secretary Osman told the girls they can make an impact no matter their ages. She says this means achieving something that can help to change a person's life or even a community.
You can, even in your communities, even in your school. Having an impact means that you'll keep your school environment clean. Having an impact means that you will not litter.
Also keeping with the theme of impact, some of the girls shared how they can have a positive impact in today's society.
Giving to the poor, for everybody to make the environment clean, having respect for everyone in all communities.
The Girl Guides and Girl Scouts are all about bringing positive change in today's society. I'm Crystal George for Let's Talk Tobago.
And it's now time to have Your Say, the segment of our program where we hear from you, the viewers. We'll have a look at who had their say this week.
Alright, so we're here with Miss Jordan right now. So we're here with Bruce right now. So we're here with Brent right now. We're asking Mr. Philip. And we're asking who's Winchester. I can't cooperate. I'm telling that.
As today's International Women's Day, we all supposed to be happy and proud of ourselves.
Women are empowered to celebrate whatever they want to celebrate.
Equal rights for women, everything like that. So, yes, very good.
I usually go to work on International Women's Day, and usually there's something at work to celebrate.
By relaxing, doing the usual stuff. I try to be myself and just be happy.
I believe that women should feel proud of themselves, of being a real person, knowing that we have a celebration of Women International Day.
We close yet another edition of Let's Talk Tobago, and as always, we thank you for watching. Please email us with your comments or queries about the program, and be sure to visit our website, like our Office of the Chief Secretary Facebook page, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. From our house to yours, I'm Davia Chambers, along with the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly, wishing you a safe and very productive week. We close now with a montage of the Details exhibition at the Scarborough Library facility, featuring photographs of some of Trinidad and Tobago's most popular historical sites. Enjoy.